Hello students, this is Miss Dalton and we're going to be talking about constant rates of change in this video. In this first example it says Philippe weighs 97 pounds. He goes on an eating spree gaining 1/4 pound per day. We're going to set up a table which depicts how his weight changes from day 0 to day 4. So there's a couple of questions that you're going to ask yourself as you're making this table. So here are the questions that I usually ask when I'm making a table. First of all, what is your independent variable? And what is your dependent variable? Well, in this particular example it says how his weight changes from day 0 to day 4. So the two things that we're comparing is how the weight changes on each day. Well, the weight is going to depend on the day, so your weight is the dependent variable and the day is your independent variable. Okay? Once you get those two questions answered, you can start to label your table. Your independent variable will always be the very first column, which is going to be the number of days. Your dependent variable is going to be the last column, and that's going to be his weight. Now this column that we have in the middle, I call this a process column. So we're going to show the process that it takes to figure out the weight. The third question that you want to ask yourself is, how is it changing? So in this particular problem, how is his weight changing? So I'm going to put changing. So you're going to ask yourself, is it increasing or is it decreasing? Well, he's gaining 1/4 pound, so that means that this is increasing, which is going to represent an addition in your problem. Okay, the last thing that I want you to ask is, what is the initial amount? So write these questions on the top of your notes. In this particular example, the initial amount is 97 pounds. Okay, so let's go ahead and start to make our table. At 0 days, you're going to have your initial weight, which is 97 pounds. On day 1, he's gained 1/4 pound. So what you're going to do is you're going to start with your initial amount, 97, and you're going to add to that 1/4 pound. So we're going to use decimals, so 0.25. 0.25, but you only have to do that one time, right? Because it's just one day. So 97 plus 0.25 times 1 is going to be just 97.25. He's gained 1/4 pound. You can kind of start to see how this table is going to work. On day 2, he's going to gain 2/4 pound. So we're going to write that the process is going to be 97 plus 0.25 times 2, because now he's gained 1/4 pound for 2 days. So that's going to be 97.50. On day 3, we take our 97 pounds plus the 0.25 times 3, so now he weighs 97.75 pounds. On day 4, 97 plus 0.25 times 4, which is going to make him at 98 pounds. Now, if I was going to continue this on all the way to just any number, I'm going to call that x. So as I continue on, I'm going to be changing this value right here to be representative of my days. So to write an equation for this, it would be 97 plus 0.25 times every day, which we're going to say that would be x. So this is going to help you write your equation, which happens to be the next question. Write an equation for how much he will weigh after x days. Well, his y value, his weight, will be equal to 97 plus 0.25 x, where x is the number of days and y is the weight. What is the dependent variable? Well, we already filled that in. That is your weight, or his weight. And then how long will it take him to reach 160 pounds? Well, what you want to look at is this 160 pounds represents weight. So if you look back up at this equation, your weight is y. So let's take 160 pounds and let's set that in place of y, and then still set it equal to the other side, which is 97 plus 0.25x. So that's your equation. Sorry, I should have put that here. Well, now you want to solve it. Well, you're already used to solving this. You're going to subtract 97 from both sides. This is what we've been doing since day one. 160 minus 97 is 63. This gives you a zero pair, and it's equal to 0.25x. So you're going to divide by 0.25. This cancels. Your x value is going to be 252. So it's going to take him 252 days to equal 160 pounds. Okay, let's look at example 2. Jesse is on a rowboat in a lake. He starts back towards the dock, which is 800 yards away. He rows at a rate of 50 yards per minute. Set up a table which depicts how his distance changes from minute 0 to minute 3. So I've went ahead and written the questions up there that I want you to ask. What is your independent variable and what is your dependent variable? Well, the distance depends on the minutes. So my independent is the number of minutes. And the dependent variable is the distance. And it looks like it's the distance from the dock. Okay, how is it changing? Well, if he's starting back towards the dock and he's rowing at a rate of 50 yards per minute, the distance is going to be decreasing. So the distance is going to be going down, which is going to be representative of a minus. And then what is your initial amount? Well, he started at 800 yards, so that's going to be my initial amount. Okay, so let's go ahead and start to fill in our table. The independent variable is the number of minutes, and we're going to call that x. This is going to be my process. And then my y variable is the distance from the dock. So that's going to be my y. All right, so at 0 minutes, he's at his initial amount, which is 800 yards. If he rows at a rate of 50 yards per minute, then we're going to take that initial 800 and then minus 50 yards times that 1 minute. Okay, so now he's 750 yards from the dock. After minute 2, going to be another 50, so 50 times 2. So now he's at 700 yards. And then again, on the 3rd minute, I had to subtract 50 3 times, so 50 times 3. And so that's going to be 650 yards. And I can keep going. If this is my x, then I would substitute in this for an x. So it would be 800 minus 50x. And that's going to give me my y. So when it says write an equation for how far he is from the dock after x minutes, that's going to be y equals 800 minus 50x. So what is the independent variable? The x. It is the number of minutes. And how long will it take him to be 150 yards? Well, the 150 yards represents distance, which in this particular example was your y value. So you're going to take that and you're going to plug it in for y right here. Okay? So you're going to have 150 equals 800 minus 50x. And now it's going to want you to solve it. So you're going to draw your line. You're going to subtract 800. It will give you a negative number, but that's okay. I'll show you why in a second. 150 minus 800 is negative 650. And then you have your negative 50x. That's the reason why it doesn't matter. It's okay that that's negative. Because when you bring this down, you want to bring that negative with it. And now you're going to divide by negative 50. And so it will be a positive number. X is equal to 13. So my solution is that it's going to take him 13 minutes to get 150 yards from the dock. Okay guys, that's the last example for tonight. In your WISC, I do ask you another question about this example, so make sure you have your notes in front of you when you answer your WISC.